talking to some people over on Twitch. They're playing Destiny 2, the Guardian games. It's been kind of fun. Yep, as always, I'll just show you the playlist I have here. Just make sure I don't got any weird ads or anything. Yeah, so basically, this is where I get my music. It's just a Spotify playlist. It's Harris Heller, Stream Beats by Harris Heller, and it means you're allowed to play it in the background. And yeah. So one of the things I realized on the channel was I was focused so much on just making new stuff that I thought was really, really good that I kind of forgot about just making really good news videos. And I realized, so I made a really good news video where I spent some time working on it and making a good piece about the PS5 Pro. I think that's probably the biggest story of the week. And it was received very well. And I'm going to go back to focusing on that type of content and then doing the additional stuff if I've given you a good news video for the day. So I've learned my lesson, and I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I'm focusing too much on the reacts and doing the streams on Sunday and the interviews. And somebody left a comment that I actually took to heart. And, you know, they were like, what is this? What are you doing? This isn't why I subscribed to you. And people subscribe, I realize, because they want good news info. They're looking for a good news show. What other news shows are there out there right now? There aren't any. Everybody kind of gave up on a news product, I realized. Like, who's the competition out there? Kinda Funny? There's just not a ton of it. So I don't know. So I'm just gonna do what I've done for 15 years and just do great news content. And then the other stuff, if you really like me, you can check that out too. What do you think about that, chat? Sound good? I think that sounds like a plan. Yeah, but Skill Up does a weekly thing. Everybody does longer form news. I don't think people do one-offs anymore. And that's just what I've always done. I've always done these little one-offs. Hello, the duck has arrived. Spawnwave does good content, but he's spotty. I like Spawnwave, yeah. So like Spawnwave reminds me so much of Hard News. Yeah, IGN does too, don't know, Jay. But I don't know. They don't do it the way I do it. I think I do the best news because I did it first. And I've always... I was seriously the first one doing gaming news, I think. A friend of mine told me once he did a news show at Yahoo, but like, what did you really do? Did you do like a 45-minute podcast, or was it actually a news show? I was there before anybody, even IGN. So yeah. You wanna see it? You want to see my terrible news show that I used to do? Have you seen it? All right, let's go. Blast in the past. And we're just chatting right now as I get everything set up for the stream. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, here we go. So check this out. Is it Toxine? Is it gonna play? Why isn't it playing? Because nobody watches it. Yeah, there we go. Let me see if I can get the scally face. This is literally me like 20 years ago. I think this was made in 2007, right? And I used to have to use a camcorder and everything. And I'd made this animated intro back in the day. I'm playing it without audio, but yeah. Pew! There's some like weird political jokes in here. There was like a meme of back in the day they were like messing oh yeah, so this was a story about some kid sending his Xbox to be fixed, and it was signed by a bunch of Bungie people. They erased it and sent it back, so Bungie actually sent him a new console with like more signatures, or the helmet. Yeah, so yeah, so I did this, and yeah, the daily DL, download. Like, there's a lot of play on words that you can do there. But anyway, yeah, so if you're curious what I looked like back in 2007, I look sort of like this. see if I can do it again. My like half mouth open then. I'm a little older now. Like the circles got darker. Yeah, that's an hour. Nobody does like 8-minute news videos. Like, here's the big topic of the day. Here's everything you need to know about it. I'm out. So, yeah. Yeah, Plume and Jaywood. Yeah, it's kind of cool because people are just looking for it. And y'all have given some good examples. I'm also subscribed to Spawnwave. I think Spawnwave is great. But yeah. Have you played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? I have not. I think I can say this. Well, let's just, I'll say this. And if you know who the person is, you'll know what I'm doing on Monday. I can't check the embargo info right now, but on Monday, I'm going to be saying hi to Darth Microtransaction and very much looking forward to hanging out and playing a video game with that person, or at least saying hello. Have I been in the game industry my whole life? No, man, I was a gamer first. All right, so let's get into the topic at hand, though. I'll let the music go. As soon as we get an ad, music's out. All right. Here we go. The big news of the week. You know what? I gotta kill the music. The big news of the week is all about the PlayStation 5 Pro specs leaking. And basically what happened is this YouTuber, Moore's Law is Dead, leaked a ton of information about... One second. We're going to start over. Stream Deck. What is going on with this thing? My log, like, the log session is currently active. There's no... I don't know what's going on with that. It keeps breaking. It keeps saying log. So I'm just going to delete it. New log. Log 3. And I'm just going to put it on day, hour. I'll put it on the desktop. All right, so let's see here. Log 3. And there, it's working. All right, let's try that again, everybody. So the big story this week is all about the PS5 Pro spec leaks are real and releasing this holiday 2024. So it looks like we're going to be getting some really, really cool information in the coming months. Now, this comes from Moore's Law is Dead, and the basics over here on Insider Gaming, who corroborates the story, are that here's what the leak document confirmed. Rendering is 45% faster than the PS5. That is absolutely incredible. 2 to 3 times ray tracing, times 4 in some cases, 33.5 teraflops. PSSR, PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaling anti-illusion solution. Support for resolutions up to 8K is planned for future SDK version. Custom machine learning architecture. AI accelerator supporting 300 TOPS of 8-bit computation and 67 T-flops of 16-bit floating point. It is very impressive. Just like Rule Time becoming a member is very impressive. Thank you, Rule Time. And I appreciate you stopping by to say hi. This is really, really cool. Now, I have a full video about this leak, and Insider Gaming corroborates it. We had Tom Henderson actually on the channel not that long ago to sort of talk about the state of the industry and everything like that. I got, as the internet calls it, stun locked on that whole topic, and I'm just like, Destin, you need to move on. Sometimes I get really into things. But anyway, go check out that video. I'll link it up here when I do this as a VOD. But if you think about it, we have a lot of news about video game consoles. We know that the Xbox console was leaked during the FTC. They've confirmed that it's coming as much. We've heard that the Nintendo Switch 2 news has been delayed until 2025. But We're getting some details about how we could have gotten the official name of the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch 2's official name may have leaked on YouTube, and I don't believe it. Could the Switch 2 really be called Attach? That's interesting, if I'm being honest. Nintendo's heavily rumored next-gen hardware is currently unannounced, but it's typically referred to as the Nintendo Switch 2. It's the most logical option after all, but a new leak via YouTube suggests that it could be launched with a different name. Earlier this week, a Reddit post on Our Gaming suggested that a YouTube survey had revealed the name of Nintendo's follow-up to the best-selling Switch console. The survey in question asks, and here it is from Luigi, help YouTube by answering one question. Which of these gaming products would you consider buying? PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and let's just go over here. Switch Attach. Whoops, YouTube. Nintendo's not going to be very happy with you. Yeah, so the Switch Attach, in addition to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, the specs that we were talking about up the top were actually the PlayStation 5 Pro console specs. And we have heard a lot about the Nintendo Switch 2, which everybody sort of colloquially calls it. But here's how this probably would have worked. YouTube probably knows something because their ad agency has to figure out when they're going to release everything, right? Just like I got to figure out every episode when I'm going to say, you got to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know my content goes live, and hit that like button if you like this content because it helps the algorithm. You know, you just got to do this stuff and you need to know ahead of time that you're going to do it. And that's what Nintendo probably did. They probably had a whole ad campaign planned with YouTube and Nintendo, and then they delay their console. And then this survey comes out, and sometimes you miss the little things, right? Sometimes you miss, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that survey about the Switch Attach that was supposed to be revealed last month, which was the rumor, right? So it is potentially something that happened, or this has been updated and I totally forgot it. The next Nintendo console may be called the Switch Attach. People on Reddit have discovered this a couple days ago, it seems, but according to the replies, YouTube using fake brand names for surveys is a thing they just do sometimes. Well, there you have it. As I said, I was like, this might be fake or made up. I've never heard of that. Maybe it's true, but I don't know. I think Switch Attach is a pretty weak name. But I don't think that name sticks. I don't think that name sticks. Maybe it was like placeholder and YouTube. So the other theory I have then is that YouTube had it in place and then forgot to switch it out. So that's the latest with the Switch. And if you haven't heard the stories, I just know this because I've read the stories. I don't have any particular source, but the rumor is that the Nintendo Switch 2 has been delayed to a 2025 release, and we'll hear more about that soon. And then last but not least, you know, we've heard a lot about Microsoft's next-gen console. During the February podcast, they actually talked about how Microsoft teases ultra-powerful next-gen Xbox and maybe a handheld, which is really, really awesome. Either would be awesome in my opinion. I think that would be super cool if either of those things happened, and I would really love to play either of them. But here's what they said. They basically teased that it would be the biggest technical leap, and it would be unique hardware and all of this stuff that, you know, gets fans like myself pretty excited about whatever it is. And say what you will about like whatever's going to happen with consoles or whatever. I love new hardware just because I like to figure out how powerful it is, what it can do, what the games run like on it. It's a big part of the reason why I started performance reviews over on IGN. It's like, you know, Digital Foundry's doing their thing. We don't have a product that's meeting an audience need like this. I would love to figure out how to do it. And then we were able to bring a freelancer on, Michael, and Michael does amazing performance reviews. He basically handles all of them at this point because, you know, I'm a busy guy and he does it so much better than me, so it's a little intimidating. But definitely check those out for more context. So anyway, I love new hardware, and I hope it continues to come because it's really interesting to talk about. We've got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. We're also invested in the next generation roadmap. What we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap that you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building. Now, here's a hot take from me. I am more interested in some sort of Xbox handheld or even the Xbox controller refresh. Like, that stuff has me really, really stoked. And if they tease anything like that, I'm guessing Gamescom. I know they have the summer event. They might tease it there, but I think we get a deeper dive by Gamescom. So yeah. Raichi in chat right now is saying, many say 33 teraflops is impossible. The Xbox has one has gone from 1.3 to 6. Well, the Xbox Series X was marketed as 12 teraflops. And I think they're talking about 16-bit floating point versus 8-bit floating point. So somebody did the math. Moore's Law is dead did the math, and he's actually like, well, it's not 66. It's 33.5 teraflops or something like that, which I think would be interesting. Anyway, we have consoles coming from all these manufacturers, and Xbox had this document leaked about what theirs would be a while back. This is their mid-gen refresh called the Brooklyn. If you'll remember, I have a whole video about this on my channel. What is going on with Ars Technica? Okay. It's just like a website from the 90s, I guess, or something. It's just programmed grid. Brooklyn Xbox Series X refresh, the most powerful Xbox ever, now adorably all digital. We know everybody kind of hates that sort of concept, right? Brooklyn, why did they use the lowest res image possible? This is so frustrating because I still have the documents on that I could open up, and I would love to discuss that. Let's read this in just a second. I got to give a quick shout out to Michael Mooney, who just dropped 20 pounds. Thank you, Michael. Michael says, with PlayStation seemingly targeting the 5 Pro as the GTA 6 console, could Microsoft take the wind out of the sails at the VGA's 2024 with Series X trailer for Zen 5, RDNA 5, GDDR7, and NVMe 6, all due by the end of 2025? I think, well, just to address that real quick, that is a really good point. The rumors were that Xbox is 2026. We don't know when the PlayStation is, but people are saying this holiday, Xbox, in my opinion, needs a competitive device in terms of console to compete with whatever the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be, and they need it before GTA 6. We're going to get to the GTA 6 story in just a second, but thank you for the super chat, Michael. You bring up an excellent point, and I do think that Microsoft will need to be competitive in this space, especially with GTA 6. GTA 6, regardless of who's selling the most consoles, it's one of the most important console-specific games ever made. And that is going to be an opportunity for both PlayStation and Xbox to move units. That is the time to release your Pro unit or your Pro version of the console. And if Xbox misses that window, PlayStation is just going to run with it and go crazy. This is not a game that is available on PC. It's not coming to PC anytime soon. That's the way Rockstar operates. Microsoft cannot miss the boat on that hardware. So whenever GTA 6 is announced for, I want to say, was it 2026, chat? Off the top of my head? Here, I got a story up right here. It is 2020, 2023, 2025. I believe it's 2025 when it's slated for. So yeah, Microsoft needs their console to come out by 2025 if they're going to do anything, or even I'm going to play on PlayStation 5 Pro. There is no way I play on whatever platform has a performance issue. For Red Dead Redemption 2, I played, I think at the time it was the Xbox One X. Why? Because it was the most powerful thing you could play it on. Whatever the most powerful thing you can play it on, that's what I'm going to be playing it on. And I think there's a large amount of consumers out there that will want that experience also. It is a very, very important time for Microsoft to not miss the boat. Now, speaking of the leaked refresh that we heard about, let's go back to this chart here for what Xbox is planning. They say it's the most powerful Xbox ever, now adorably all digital. Brooklyn will deliver 4K Gen 9 console gaming. I don't know what Gen 9, whatever, with more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, a more immersive controller, and a beautiful redesign that elevates the all-digital experience of the Xbox ecosystem. I don't think that all-digital thing is going to be easy to market. Anyway, giving our fans more to love, beautiful and innovative new design, more internal storage for games, USB-C front port, all new, more immersive controller, same great price, $499. I think, well, let's say the price point sticks. Phil Spencer already said that most of this stuff is outdated, right? But let's say the price point sticks. That means that they're going to market probably lower than PlayStation. That does give them a chance to get ahead. God Emperor says, I thought this was scrapped. It might have been. Phil Spencer has made comments about it, but this is what we've heard of from Microsoft. So I just wanted to revisit it as we're going over all the rumors about the different companies. Updated technologies, all new South braids to modernize I/O and sustainability efforts, a new Wi-Fi, new radio for accessories, 6nm die shrink for improved efficiency. And then they just talk about PSU power. We actually don't get a lot of details about what the power actually is about the console. But if Xbox is planning any kind of next-gen refresh, it has to come alongside GTA 6, in my opinion. GTA 6 is so important for all these console manufacturers, and it's actually the next news story I was going to talk about today. So out of all the things that we have, that we know of, we know that PlayStation 5 Pro just had its specs leaked. A lot of people are corroborating those rumors, including Tom Henderson, who hasn't really missed in terms of what he's corroborated and discussed. We have the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2 that is rumored for 2025. PlayStation 5 Pro is rumored for this year, Switch 2025, and Xbox, I don't know what they have planned. The rumors were 2026, but if they aren't in the race by the time GTA 6 comes out, they are going to be at a rough deficit in terms of video game sales on their platform, because it will be the worst platform to play on. The game is only coming to PlayStation 5 and Xbox. And if Xbox doesn't have a more powerful answer to the PlayStation 5 Pro, they will lose the GTA 6 war, so to speak, right? This isn't about consoles. This isn't like a console war thing. The game's coming out on 2 platforms. It absolutely needs to be the best possible experience Xbox can put forward, in my opinion. And it would be really bad if they miss it. Let's talk about another news story that has been swirling real quick. So if you haven't heard, GTA 6 is going to be a very big game, and everybody knows it. This is a little op-ed from over on Insider Gaming. GTA 6 will be the most important thing to ever release, analyst says. Let's talk about that for a second. Why is GTA 6 so important? We had Derek Strickland on the channel, and Derek Strickland talked about and has many charts on his Twitter where he discusses just how important the console is to the profit margin of these companies. It doesn't matter if it's Xbox's 25, 30 million consoles sold or PlayStation's 50 million plus consoles sold, or I don't remember where the numbers are specifically, but I know it's like 2-to-1 right now for PlayStation, if I'm remembering correctly. Point is, the sell-through rate for GTA 6 is going to be massive. It is a focal point for the entire industry in terms of getting ready for this launch. How's PlayStation getting ready? Likely with the PlayStation 5 Pro. How is Xbox getting ready? Xbox is likely getting ready. I already read the super chat, Clay. Sorry. Oop. Did I miss another one? Yeah, I read the one from Michael. Thank you, Michael. Xbox hopefully is getting ready with their own answer in terms of a Xbox Series X Pro or something similar. So it is the most important thing that is going to release, especially for the console market. Now, for the industry, it is very, very important for PlayStation and Xbox to be ready to go when this thing hits. Let's actually read this piece from Insider Gaming and hear what the analyst had to say. Grand Theft Auto 6 stormed to the front page of every newsfeed worldwide when Rockstar Games revealed it in December 2023. It quickly broke viewership records and soared up the charts, setting the industry on fire with an intense anticipation of what could be the fastest-selling game ever. Recently, Matt Piscatella, an expert analyst with Circana, sat down with GameIndustry.biz to discuss the financial outlook for the games industry, suggesting that we, as a global community, need to see more overachievers like Palworld as spending dives. He also suggested that Grand Theft Auto 6 will be a monumentally important game that'll change the face of the industry. That is very, very important, according to Matt Piscatella. So let's take a look at what he said in this little quote box that they have here on gamesindustry.biz. This is going to be a tough year, but if you look towards 2025, if interest rates come down and money becomes a little bit more free-flowing to devs and publishers, we should get a boost in the development cycle again. We're going to get a renewed batch of interest with GTA 6 in particular. There's probably never been a more important thing to ever release in the industry, so no pressure. Obviously, that is hugely important, just like it's hugely important that you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so that you know when my content goes live, and you hit that like button so that it gets shared more in the algorithm. Also hugely important. But he's right. Grand Theft Auto is no joke. It is a cultural phenomena. It is a game that is bigger than any other game, especially for anybody playing on the console. This could drive sales of the PlayStation 5, the rumored PlayStation 5 Pro, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series X Pro, whatever that may be. And I'm very curious how Microsoft is going to handle whatever they're doing with the Xbox Series S in terms of parity. Are they going to try and strong arm Rockstar into making sure that the game can run at parity on the Xbox Series S? Because I'll tell you exactly what Rockstar will tell them to do. Go away. They're like, all right, we'll just launch on PlayStation 5. Like, they're not going to mess around that way. Here's what Insider Gaming, their opinion on the particular situation is. It's a fair assessment. More than a decade after Grand Theft Auto 5 was released, it's still topping the sales charts and scrapping up more viewership on platforms like Twitch than any other game. It's well and truly time for a new title, and while fans will have to wait until 2025 to get their hands on GTA 6, the hype train is unlikely to slow down anytime soon. There are high expectations that it'll have more pre-orders and more sales at launch than any other game in the history. And they're right. It's super important that this game does well. I gotta do a thing. Maybe Clay was talking about Twitch. Was it on Twitch, Clay? Sorry, little distracted there for a second. Anyway, it's hugely important that this game does well for the industry. Why? Because it's going to affect every other thing that happens with that platform. Right now, PlayStation 5 is the talk of the town. It's obviously the most popular console, and this is a game made for consoles. It's going to be very, very important that they get it right. Let's see what maps. Let's see if I can find any quotes about GTA 6 in this article. No, it's just the one from Matt Piscatella. And he's right, because it will drive console sales at the end of the day. What do you think about it, chat? GTA 6 is going to be Cyberpunk 2.0. Just watch. No way. There is no way, in my opinion, Rockstar comes out with a GTA 6 failure, so to speak, right? Got a super chat over here. It says, JT feels, I admire your work. Let's say the PS5 Pro and the Xbox handheld both exist and release around the same time. Do you believe consumers would be more likely to value extra power or portability? That's a great question. And I am a little curious about that. I know right now, portability is a big thing for people. But I don't think it's as important as having the best experience for a game like GTA. GTA is the type of game where you want to sit on your couch and play through it and chill, right? It's not the type of game where you necessarily want to play it on a go. It would be nice, but it's sort of like another thing that could be offered as opposed to the core thing and the core way you would want to experience that game. I think most people will play GTA 6 on the most powerful console, whatever that may be. And I think it's going to be the PlayStation 5 Pro. All right. Let me ask you this. Let's ask chat. Chat, do you want to do a straw poll where you can vote? Here, let's do it. Create poll. I'm going to do a straw poll and we can watch the results live. Where would you want to play GTA 6 more? Most powerful console? Portable. Is that a good way to phrase the question? Where would you want to play it more? Would you want to play it on the most powerful console or a portable device? I think that's a good way to lay it out, right? All right. I'm going to create it. I'm going to link it in chat. 1 second. Boom. I'm going to paste it a few times in chat. All right, so go vote, and we can watch the results live because I want to know what you think. I would vote most powerful console. To me, it seems like an absolute no-brainer that most people are going to want to play on the most powerful device. So I'm going to wait until we get like 50 votes in or so. We have a lot of people voting right now, and it's kind of surprising. Here, I'll link it one more time. Here's a straw poll. It's just like, I don't think you need anything special. You can just make any poll on this website, and then it's easy to vote on. Let's take a look. Here's where we're at. 79-ish% of people want to play it on the most powerful console versus a portable device. I'm going to do another poll. So I'm going to let this one go for a little bit, but I think it's obvious. I am surprised that 20% of y'all think portability is an important issue with GTA 6. GTA 6 being squished down on that smaller screen, to me, says that you're sacrificing something. So to me, that is the bonus option. Now, if you can have both, that would be pretty hype, right? Dragon King says, hey, Destin, I want to play GTA 6 on my Nintendo Switch 2. Let's go. What if that's announced? What if they're like, hey, we're bringing it to the Switch too? So the rumors are that it could come to a next-gen Xbox console, which is not next-gen, but like a portable Xbox console of some sort. It could come to Switch 2.0 is another hypothesis just from chat that there's no basis in reality for that one or anything that we've heard. But it looks like, yeah, we're evening out around 79-21 in terms of the vote. We have 60-ish votes. It's a barometer. I don't have the biggest audience in the world, but I do appreciate you voting in these. Now, the next question I would have is, where would you... Let's create another poll. We're going to do something a little different. Which console, assuming it's not going on the go, would you rather play on? GTA 6. Which console would you rather play on? PS5 Pro or Xbox Series X? Which console would you rather play on? That's the poll. Let me share it. Get it ready. And I'll post it in chat a few times. So this is a new poll question. Where would you rather play GTA? Now, I have an Xbox-centric audience, so this is going to be really interesting. Wow. Yeah, this one, I feel like the data is going to be skewed. I know my audience leans more pro Xbox, but I am quite surprised by this. You got to remember, let's say the PlayStation 5 Pro is $600. So you have to buy the new console, and then it's not going to be bundled with GTA, I would imagine. So you have to buy GTA. So you're looking at a maybe $700 investment to play on the PlayStation 5 Pro. Which console would I play on? I play on the Pro. I want to play on the best looking, whatever it is. Now, if Xbox has a Pro then I would play on both, because I would have to test both. And then which would I play more of it on? I would play on the one that is deemed the best, whatever the best experience is for that game. And this happened in the GTA 4 days. In the GTA 4, the PS3 version of GTA 4 apparently was worse. I believe it was the PS3 version was worse than the Xbox version. I'm surprised by these results. I thought y'all would be sort of with me and be playing on the PS5 Pro, whatever that may be. But a lot of you are like, no, man, I don't want to drop $700 just to play GTA. I would rather play on the thing that I have access to right now. I probably should have put just PlayStation 5 standard on here versus the Pro, but all right. So a lot of people, granted, I want everybody to remember, I do realize that many of y'all in this audience are Xbox fans, right? So I do wonder if that affects the data a little bit when y'all are watching. But I think it's great to hear that many of you are like, no, I don't want to drop $700 just to play one game, right? Just to play one game. And the PlayStation 5 Pro, you got to remember the game's going to be able to run at 60. It's going to be like 4K native using AI upscaling if you watch the video about it. And there's a lot of cool bells and whistles with the PlayStation 5 Pro that should also be considered, assuming the leaks are true. Destin are going to be picking up that new Xbox Series X refresh. I will get whatever new console comes out. I have to have it for work. And work, I mean, I usually get sent one, so I will have it one way or another. So, yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to, God Emperor Sofa says, I don't think it's going to run at 60. I don't think it's going to run at 60 on current gen. I think it's going to be 30 because that's what Rockstar has always done. They've always done 30, but they did the PC port that did 60. And I have to imagine that if a PS5 Pro came out, it would do 60. That game looks stunning. That game looks stunning. I'm going to show a tweet I made, and I want to talk about it a little bit. This is probably going to be a short one because I can't actually show the footage of the product in question. But did y'all see this Spider-Man leak? If you haven't, you should definitely consider, first of all, hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell right here on YouTube, because, I mean, yeah, and hitting that like button, of course. But check me out on Twitter, @DestinLegarie, and you can go watch it. It hasn't been pulled down yet, but there was a leaked multiplayer trailer for Spider-Man multiplayer where it was, I'll just tell you what because it's all over Twitter. It was posted on the 11th. It's the 17th. They haven't pulled it yet for some reason. Maybe Insomniac is just a little salty. So, basically, it would be like Into the Spider-Verse, but a multiplayer game. And I think it is a really, really good idea that I would have played. I really like the Spider-Man games. I think the Spider-Man games are great. I like all the characters in those games. I think they're a lot of fun. I haven't gotten a ton of time in Spider-Man 2, but I did the preview for IGN, so I played for like 2 hours in the middle of the game, or near the beginning, but not the very beginning. Anyway, it's fun. It's a fun game, and I think this would have been really, really cool. There's even like little moments in the single player campaign where you get a glimpse of what could have been with this product, and I think it's really, really cool. And It's a bummer, man, because PlayStation right now, you know, they had the 900 layoffs, but with those layoffs, they canceled way more projects than I was expecting. Like this thing's dead. There's all these really cool things that they had in the works, and everybody right now, they're going to be tightening the reins and just saying, hey, we're not going to go crazy with anything, really. The first one was great. I still haven't finished the first one. I started playing on PC and I got distracted chasing birds and stuff. Or were the birds introduced in 3? No, it's like you got the black cat side quests and everything. And my favorite thing to do in the Spider-Man games are like liberate the rooftop areas where the bad guys are doing some bad stuff. You can start out stealthy or whatever. And then I love combat. It reminds me of the Batman games. So yeah. But anyway, that was one of the bigger stories that I just wanted to sort of mention and get your temperature on, so to speak. I am very, very excited about that one. Sorry, 1 second. I lost one of the chats. Khan says, Destin, the dudes at Palworld had a budget of 10K and sold more than PS titles with budgets of 300 million. Yeah, they done goof. Budgets are out of control. I have no clue what is going on with video game budgets these days, but they're out of control. They're insane. They're insane. Let's see what else we got here. Another sort of small story that I wanted to discuss. Final Fantasy 16 PC requirements are looking to be somewhat high, Yoshi P says. I forgot that Final Fantasy 16 was coming to PC. I have been waiting to play this game. Final Fantasy 16 just came out at a time where things were really busy for me. Things are busy for me right now. Like we have all these, I just did previews for Dragon's Dogma. I did a preview for Rise of the Ronin. I have another preview coming next week for a game I'm really excited for. And I think it's like public knowledge that the event is happening. Let me just Google it really quick. This is interesting. Anyway, I don't know if I can say anything, but I know some influencers have been talking about it. Yeah, okay. Dono knows what I'm talking about. Is it? It's public knowledge, right? Darth Microtransaction talks about it like every stream. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to be playing that, and I'm very, very psyched for it. Final Fantasy 16 PC requirements are looking to be somewhat high. Was the story. And I'm really, really excited about this. Because Final Fantasy 16 just came out at sort of an awkward time, and I do wonder if a PC release of the game is going to bring a renewed interest to the product. It's kind of interesting, though, that it has like high requirements, but it runs well on the PlayStation 5. In terms of where we are in development currently, we're trying to figure out the final stages of optimizing right now. Yoshida said in an interview with Game Informer, when we can release the PC version might be dependent on that. The system requirements and specification for a PC that players will need. So we're trying to figure that out. Naturally, the PC specs are looking to be somewhat high, which is somewhat vague. Yeah, like what does that mean? Yeah, if you want to run at 4K, your specs need to be somewhat high, of course. So yeah. Oh, this is a fun story. I'm going to do potentially like this one might be a breakout, but here we go. So, you know what's really, really fun? When Xbox releases a game on PlayStation and then it becomes the #1 most pre-ordered game on PlayStation. Sea of Thieves was beating out everything for a little bit, at least. It was beating out Rise of the Ronin. It was beating out all of these other games. Microsoft and Rare Sea of Thieves is currently the #1 most pre-ordered game on PlayStation. I am so excited for more people to get to be able to play Sea of Thieves. I think it's going to be a great thing. I remember when Destiny used to like have all of these annoying like exclusives that were exclusives on PlayStation, and then Xbox would get them later, but they were nerfed by that point. When those barriers came down and it was just like one big play arena and they turned on cross play and everybody got to play together, it was awesome. So getting to see a game like Sea of Thieves succinctly destroy those barriers is just great to see. I'm so happy that more people are going to get to play a game like Sea of Thieves together. What do you need to know? Last month, Microsoft confirmed widespread rumors that it would start bringing more of its exclusive Xbox games to PlayStation and Switch. The first batch includes Grounded, Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, and Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is by far the biggest of the bunch, and the service game arguably has the most potential. It seems that potential is already being realized since the game has hit the top spot on the pre-order chart on PlayStation consoles. Why is this significant? It's significant because it is an older game. It is an Xbox game that is coming to PlayStation for the first time, and it is beating out other big titles like Rise of the Ronin that are exclusive to the PlayStation 5. That is huge. That is huge news. I don't care if it was for a day or what, but it's awesome. And to see all of these PlayStation gamers getting to play Xbox games and they're saying, hey, these Xbox games are great. It kind of makes me wonder if the barriers are being broken down a little bit in terms of all the Xbox cynicism that we see online. And I say that because, like, obviously it's there. It has been out there a lot. And now that these Xbox games are coming to other platforms, it's refreshing to sort of see a disarmament, so to speak, of that audience. So PlayStation gamers are playing Xbox games. They're enjoying Xbox games. And if you want the sequels, you're going to have to come on over to the Xbox ecosystem, I would guess. Exclusives aren't going anywhere, but it does seem like, at least in some instances, Xbox is going to be doing something where they do fewer like forever exclusives, so to speak. Timed exclusives seem the way of the future. What do we got here? Benji Sales and a few others tweeted about this. Sea of Thieves is currently the #1 best-selling pre-order on PlayStation Network in the United States. And if you look, and I verified this because I went to my thing, and yeah, it was #1 here. And it's not just #1 here. I think I talked about this last week. Now I'm remembering. But it's also #1 over here. That is great, and it is big news for anybody looking to play more Xbox games on the Xbox. Why? Because all of these games have been available as part of Game Pass, and I have to imagine some of those users are going to convert over to the Xbox ecosystem. Maybe that means on PC, maybe that means Xbox, but as I have consistently said, Xbox doesn't care where you play. And they've even extended that in some cases now to be on the PlayStation 5. But if you play an Xbox game on PC, you're still playing on Xbox. I've known that for years, and I've talked about that for years. So when I slipped up and I said, oh, I played Death Stranding on Xbox, I feel like a lot of people called me out on that, rightfully so, because you need to specify, did you play it on PC? Did you play it on console? And I do appreciate the call out because I was wrong. I did not play Death Stranding on Xbox, obviously, because it never came there. So yeah, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. But it did come to the ecosystem, and it came to the ecosystem as part of Game Pass. So Xbox players who play on PC got to play it for their subscription fee. And that is huge. That would be like Sea of Thieves or Grounded coming to PlayStation Plus. It's great. That's awesome. And yeah, it has achievements and trophies and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just such an interesting time to be in the gaming space because the landscape is changing. In some ways, it's a little bit scary how it's changing, but in other ways, it's really, really exciting. It's exciting to see what is happening. Let's give you all a quick Palworld update. Now, if you haven't heard, Palworld is this game where you capture cute little creatures in the wilderness and then enslave them to do your bidding. And it is a huge, huge hit. The next update from Palworld is the raid. People are going to be able to play raids and play with each other to tackle harder challenges. A powerful evil pal has appeared and is laying siege to the Galapagos Islands. Only the most skilled PAL tamers stand a chance against her. Palworld's first raid, Bella Noir, is coming soon. Is it Bella Noir? Yeah, like black in French is noir. Anyway, let's watch it. I haven't actually checked this out yet. Hopefully my desktop audio is good. Let me just check. Maybe turn it here. Oh, the crystal. Bella Noir. New PAL and raid battle, Bella Noir. Coming soon. Palworld team, if you need somebody to do corny VOs like Nintendo does, hit me up. My email is thedestinchannel@gmail.com for all your VO needs. I think that's cool. And somebody in chat said, man, they've been updating Palworld like crazy. Yeah, they have. They've been going really hard with the Palworld updates, and it's really, really cool. I'm so happy for Palworld's success. I'm really, really excited to see what they do next. You know who is not so thrilled about their success? Apparently the people who are making it. Palworld made so much money, it's too big for a studio with our size to handle, but CEO says it's not going to go public or sell up yet. I want to make multiple small games. And actually, I don't know if I brought up the story, but there is a rumor that they're in talks with Pocket Pair to port to other systems. So this has been like a huge win for the Xbox brand and for the Palworld team. I'm just thrilled that they have done so well. Oh, here we go. Pocket Pair CEO and Palworld creator Takuro Mizobi has given an interview to Bloomberg about the game's breakout success. They're not going to be bought by Xbox. Spoilers. During the interview, Mizobi put this down to, among other things, its unusual mix of influences, and it being a game that's fun to watch as well as play with friends. But the scale of that success, it's both almost too much for Pocket Pair to handle and something that Mizobi is determined won't change the studio. So imagine you're Pocket Pair and you release this game that, like, it's a little janky, it takes mechanics from other properties, and then it sells 500,000 copies. What was the last number at? 1 million? Did they do 1 million in sales? Point is, it did better. I'm going to Google it quick. $25 million units. That was February 22nd. So I think they stopped counting at 25 million units. It's $30, right? So it's $30 times 25 and 6 zeros. 25 million. That's $750 million. Is that right? So imagine you're like me. Imagine you're Destin and you make some game with like 5 of your buddies, or it's a small team, right? And it goes on to sell 25 million copies. Oh, 25 million players. Clay is right. So let's say it's $350 million instead of $750 million. Thank you, Clay. That is a good call out. Players are different than whatever. What would you even do with, if it's half that amount in profit? What would you do with $325 million? Like, all right, anybody who worked on it, y'all get $1 million, 10 million. Anybody who worked on it gets 10 million right now. Here you go. Just, you're set for life. Buy a boat. It's incredible. It's an incredible success story and really, really surprising. I do hope that. Oh, and check out their development budget. Mizobi says Palworld's development budget was less than $1 billion, $6.7 million, and has now returned tens of billions of yen in profit, which Mizobi says is simply too big for a studio with our size to handle. I would just be like, how do I give everybody who worked on this $10 million or $1 million? I don't know how big the team was. Cause like if it's 100, that's $100 million. Right. But wow. How do I give everybody enough money so they never have to worry about money again? Like if you're giving them $1 million and you like can't figure out how to make that work, 55 people worked on it. Just what a great success story. I love hearing about this. I love hearing about this. I love hearing about Helldivers. I love hearing about Last Epoch coming around and just trouncing it. I do hope the AAA industry refocuses and comes back stronger because, man, what is going on with Diablo? What is going on? What is going on with a lot of these games? It just seems like they lost focus on the fun. And that's unfortunate. Speaking of losing focus, let's talk about PlayStation for a second and how PlayStation-backed Deviation Games closes. The studio had been developing an original IP for PlayStation before it was canceled. Do you remember this announcement? It was during the conference, and these two guys come out, they talk to Jeff Keighley, and they make this big announcement about how Deviation Games is being formed, and they're excited about it, and it wasn't even open like a few years. New AAA game developer Deviation Games is closing, the studio announced. It was formed in 2020, 4 years, by Jason Blundell and Dave Anthony, two development veterans best known for the Call of Duty Black Ops franchise. By 2021, it had over 100 employees. Check this out. Their website's still online. Deviation Games. And like, it's just a group of people out there to make games. Building AAA video games requires heart, imagination, community, and the courage to deviate. That's the deviator. All right. Because you're a deviator. That doesn't really rally me up all that much. You have the heart and imagination. We'll give you the freedom to go your own direction. Maybe that's not the best business philosophy. Do whatever you want. But I mean, like, we still got to make this game and get it out the door. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm like, I don't mean to make light of the whole thing, but like they have this whole website up and it's gone. Like just, yeah. And if you watch they have a YouTube channel and stuff. It's just like the two guys goofing off, like doing silly stuff. And it's so weird to like look back at a lot of these studio announcements and where they are today. Like if you go back and look at the Perfect Dark stuff, none of those people even work at the company anymore. I think like two of them in the announcement video still at the company. They were gone like a year ago. They don't deviate from where the industry is going. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It stinks. Yeah, they never even got a game out. I wonder if they're going to like at least show what they were working on. Next up, I think we're going to go into reacts. What else do I got going on today? My old video that we talked about earlier. That's largely the news that I saw this week. Did I miss anything that you want me to talk about? I don't think so. There was one other thing, and I'm gonna shoot it like a reacts. I think that's how we're going to do this one. Let me just get this all set up really quick. Oh, I need this full screen for a second. I do want the crop still, maybe. I'm just going to open it up and then turn off the crop. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to do a little reacts to the CNBC story. Did you see this thing? Turbo, yeah, did I miss it? I think that's intentional, my friend. Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just say this. It's a complicated topic. Everybody's probably already made their mind up about it. I don't really want to make something about it, as I'm just going to make everybody mad. Like literally everybody. There's nothing I can say that makes everybody happy. And I don't know. I don't feel, I'm like in a weird spot where I don't feel like I'm the best person to talk about the topic because of, you know, where I work versus doing it's just weird. So I just like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it, but I do appreciate y'all. I want you to know that I'm aware of the situation and what's going on, and that's it. All right. So yeah. And see, even just bringing it up, chat turns into this thing, and I'm not going to ban anybody or anything. I kind of like got frustrated last week and said something along those lines. I don't really ban people, like, unless you're just being a jerk. I don't really do that. So obviously you've come to your own conclusions. Just try not to let chat turn into nonsense, please. And be good to each other. Be kind to each other if you can. Okay? Because
from Spider-Man.
Whoop! I want to shoot some reacts and talk about other stuff. Let's get right into it. So this video has been making the rounds, and it is from NBC, and I totally forgot I had studio mode still turned on, so nothing's been changing. Okay, so can the Sony PlayStation remain the top-selling gaming console? And there is a final quote from Jim Ryan about the whole Activision thing. Let's watch it.
From Spider-Man to God of War and Final Fantasy. It's been 30 years since the PlayStation first brought to life some of the most iconic video game franchises.
Whether it's coming from third-party partners that release stuff that is exclusive to their platform or their own first-party studios making stuff, the library has been the #1 thing that really pushes the success of the systems.
For PlayStation, the game has always been, no pun intended, great content to a great console.
Exclusives are important. Exclusives are super duper important, and anybody who thinks that they aren't important are a little crazy. Are they important in the console business? Yes. Is the console business softening? Yes. Like there's different layers to this. There's not like one statement that it's true. Is the console business important? Yes, you get more revenue than ever from there. Are exclusives important to the console business? Yes, it is. Are consumers negatively impacted by exclusives? Yes, because you actually need to purchase a very expensive device in order to play that exclusive. And then if you want to play exclusives on the other one, you need to do that. So it's like sort of a nuanced conversation. And I don't fault anybody for being upset about it. I totally get where you're coming from. You invested in an ecosystem and now they're going to the other one. So yeah, they're important to the company, not to the consumer. Internet user is absolutely right. That's a good way to phrase it. Let's keep talking about PlayStation and their history here.
And I think that is where the exclusivity brings people and creates a loyalty and engagement that is really hard to replicate.
During its pandemic era rollout, the PlayStation 5 was nearly impossible to come by.
Hunting for
Oh, check out this news report.
a new PlayStation for Christmas or an Xbox Series 10.
Xbox Series 10. Traditional media can't even get the name of the thing right. Is this a CNBC report? Like, are they referencing the CNBC report or something? Because I think it's absolutely hilarious that he got it wrong. And I know this particular editor at CNBC. I don't know him personally, but I've watched a lot of his reports. He is really good at his job. I really like how he has been sort of adding the tough questions to his interviews, because I watched like the games industry interview with Jim Ryan, and it was all softballs. Even in this produced piece, they asked him the tough stuff. And yeah. Anyway.
Good luck.
Sony's always done great hardware design, and it's one of our strengths. It's one of our points of difference.
Jim Ryan in the house, everybody. You remember the guy made like 1 million videos about not liking his business practices? Let's hear what he's got to say.
The PlayStation 2 is the best-selling video game console of all time, with
Yeah, shout out to the one dude leaving a comment saying, how did Destin not remember off the cuff that the PS2 is the best-selling unit with 155 meg? Get out of here.
nearly triple the sales
I remember that every day when I have breakfast.
of Sony's latest PlayStation 5. Annual gaming sales exceeded $24 billion for Sony in fiscal year 2022, which makes up over 30% of the company's overall.
So let's take a look at this. And this is why I was saying, like, Sony revenue by segment. You got financial services, imaging and sensing solutions, entertainment technology and services, pictures, music. They did $24 billion in game and network services, right? Games are very important to your ecosystem, especially in the console world.
Revenue. The PlayStation Network, the company's online gaming platform, has 123 million active monthly users.
That's huge. Now, does anybody know the number of, like, where did Xbox land? Because Xbox took Xbox Live and now they're bundling it in as Xbox Game Pass. So they've done an obfuscation of the actual number of users that are using Xbox Game Pass, because there's Game Pass Core, which is Game Pass, but not really. And then there's Game Pass Ultimate, which is actually Game Pass, right? So it's super confusing. If anybody knows where Xbox is at, I don't think they've announced the number. I think they said like we have 35 million Game Pass members. But Microsoft has this weird problem where they've defined Game Pass as everything, but they don't count Game Pass Core. So like, what's the number? Anyway.
For reference, that's about the same number of people who tuned in for the record-breaking Super Bowl 58.
Lots of people
You
game.
include mobile, you include global, you put it all together. The video game industry is a $200 billion plus industry.
It's big.
Bigger than music, it's bigger than movies. On a revenue basis, the largest entertainment sector in the world.
Somebody in the chat is saying 120 million active users versus like 123 on PlayStation. So it's pretty even. That's actually really impressive, Clay, if you think about it. So Clay is saying, according to Statista, it's 120 million on Xbox and PlayStation's like 123 million. That means with fewer devices in the world, Xbox has managed to have nearly the same amount of subscriptions as PlayStation. PlayStation was, what was it? What did we just say? How many subscribers were there? Like 123. So if they're only like 3 million behind, that's crazy. Let's continue on. Whoop, wrong one. Boop, boop. I've actually been there. That's in the San Francisco Bay Area. You have to remember, everybody talks about, oh, the Switch is so successful. The Switch does this and that and that and the other thing. PS2 is still the best-selling console of all time. PlayStation is the best console manufacturer. It's better. It's done better than Nintendo. And if you look at PlayStation 4 cumulative sales, it's not where the Switch is right now, but the Switch still hasn't beat the PS2. So Nintendo still holds the crown for now. Or sorry, Sony still holds the crown for now.
The Nintendo Home Entertainment System entered Japanese homes in 1984 before spreading internationally 2 years later.
Who heard that noise and knew the game the second you heard the noise? Let's listen again.
System entered Japanese homes in 1984.
What game? Who in chat knows the game from that sound effect? You want to hear it again?
The Nintendo Home Entertainment System entered Japanese homes in 1984 before spreading internationally.
All right. Who's an old like me and can guess the game based off of that one sound effect? I actually don't know what it is, but I'd recognize the sound. I want to say it's like Ninja Turtles. It's one of the classics. Anyway, Oh, it's Metroid. I'm an idiot. It's Metroid, right? Or is it Zelda? Zelda 2? Mega Man? Centipede? I don't know. Let's keep going.
Nationally 2 years later. It utilized game cartridges that were inserted directly into the device, a standard for that decade's gaming consoles.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System.
In 1994, the PlayStation launched in Japan, which accelerated the gaming industry's shift away from cartridges.
Going over to a disc format wasn't a big deal because of how much data could be stored on those discs versus what was, possible on cartridges at the time. And that was a large reason why a lot of third-party studios even moved over to PlayStation.
I had no idea how many awesome games actually released on the PlayStation. The PlayStation came out at a time when there was the Saturn still, there was the Genesis. I was a Genesis kid and poor, but seeing Metal Gear and all these games that were on there, I get why PlayStation had a successful console. I said it in the past at one time that what did the PlayStation 1 even have? And I got roasted for it, rightfully so, because they had a phenomenal lineup.
While competitors in the modern video game landscape, Sony and Nintendo had privately signed an agreement in 1988 to jointly develop an optical disc game player. There were even 200 Nintendo PlayStation prototypes that were manufactured, but the relationship fell apart before its release.
Just when we were about to announce the launch of this, Nintendo backed away and they ended up going with Philips for their optical disc format. And Sony was kind of left at the altar, stating,
so imagine that you've been working for years on a console and then all of a sudden it just evaporates. Yeah. So that had to be really, really hard for PlayStation. And what ended up happening is Nintendo literally created the PlayStation brand and one of their main competitors in the space. Clay says, hey, look, it's Microsoft's Crash Bandicoot. It's so crazy how these IPs changed hands so many times that now Microsoft owns it. I think it's a little silly.
Here with this beautiful compact disc reader.
And so the PlayStation was born. Sony's first foray into the video game space entered the US in a 1995 launch that was announced at the first Electronic Entertainment Expo, known as E3. Sega, one of Sony's biggest competitors at the time, also announced its US release of its Saturn console.
I'm a fighting game guy. So for me, the Saturn was a big deal. I believe it was the Saturn where you could play X-Men, the X-Men fighting game for the first time. It had terrible loading times and obviously it wasn't great. You could also play old games in the back cart port, but man, being able to play all that FGC goodness, fighting game content, it was a lot of fun on the Saturn.
With the price point of $399.
Before the launch, there was considerable uncertainty. We were moving into a space that had two pretty entrenched occupants, Nintendo and Sega.
The then president of Sony Computer Entertainment America took the E3 stage and made a short but significant announcement.
$299.
So they announced that they are coming into the console market at a lower price point than basically anybody else. And that console was great. It was a really, really powerful console. And ironically, they did the same thing with the PlayStation 4. That was their whole strategy. They said, our console's cheaper. We can share games easier. Microsoft, you just lost the plot with whatever's going on over here. And the Saturn had great games like the Marvel and Capcom fighting games. It had the X-Men Children of the Atom game, and it was really, really cool. And then Dreamcast was also really, really cool, but Sony really knocked it out of the park, and they continued to after this. We'll get to the PS3 though.
The price of the PlayStation launching in the US.
That was throwing the gauntlet down. It's PlayStation's not here to play. We're here to win. And we're going to come in $100 under all of you. But it just blew the doors off, and people thought, wow, Sony's not here to dip their toes in the water. They're jumping all in.
But there was no way that we could assume that we were going to be successful. And it was really not until the day of launch, we woke up that morning and we saw big queues outside retailers of excited people waiting to get their hands on their PlayStation that we realized that we were probably onto something there.
The original PlayStation went on to sell over 100 million units worldwide.
Wow. That's huge.
Jim Ryan joined.
Ooh, I got a super chat. Thank you, Clay, for calling that out. What did it say? As of October last year, Sony has 47 million plus subs. They do not report it anymore. I doubt they lost over half of their subscribers. Yeah, I don't think they did. I'm just talking about what's in the video, but I do appreciate the update movie. Thank you. Yeah, what's really interesting, so like we have this shot of Jim Ryan on the screen right now. In all the interviews that I've seen Jim Ryan in, he comes off very, it's going to sound like I'm being mean. He comes off a little awkward, a little like, I don't know. He doesn't come off like this ruthless business leader that flies all around the world trying to convince the FTC that the Activision Blizzard deal shouldn't go through because if they lose Call of Duty, they're going to die. Like, I feel like he's genuine. He comes off nervous to me, internet user. He doesn't come off smug at all. He comes off a little shy. That's my read on him. I don't know.
Joined Sony in 1994, the same year that the PlayStation was born in Japan. He is set to retire in March of 2024 after a 30-year tenure with the company.
I have hugely fond memories of the original PlayStation, and I'd never really played too many games before joining what was then Sony Computer Entertainment, putting CD discs.
I didn't play games before I joined. Yeah, spoilers, a lot of these business people don't play games like we do. They play games, sure, but not like we do. You know what I'm saying?
To that thing and really experiencing Tekken, experiencing Ridge Racer.
God, the OG Grand Theft Auto, Resident Evil 2, Tekken 3, Crash 2. It was really, it seems like the base thing was about getting PC games onto the console. Maybe that's why I missed the PS1 era, because I bought a PC. So I was playing like Need for Speed 2 on PC and modding it so that my car had more weight and you would hit the other cars and they go flying off the screen. It was really, really fun. Yeah. Oh, I turned chat off. Let me turn it back on.
Racer, experiencing Resident Evil. Those were great days.
From the beginning, the company knew just being a tech company wasn't enough. You had to bring some secret sauce in for the entertainment world. And by doing a joint venture between Sony Music and Sony Electronics, I think that was the key to the early success of PlayStation.
Wait, he said the music partnership did it? Can somebody fill me in? How did their music partnership do it? I don't really get that.
The PS2 was released in 2000 and went on to become the best.
God, the PS2 is the GOAT. Honestly, the PS2 was one of the best consoles ever freaking made. Final Fantasy X, Eco, Shadow of the Colossus, Grand Theft Auto 3, basically every game came out. Final Fantasy 11 came out on this thing. The PS2 was a really, really special console generation. I don't know if anybody in chat was around when that Metal Gear Solid 2, like this was the first console that I bought. The PlayStation 2 brought me back into the console ecosystem. And then after that, I would get the Xbox for Halo and I would get the GameCube. Destin, the Xbox fan, does not exist without the PlayStation 2. So I'm super glad that it happened. I think it was a phenomenal console. I played through all the Metal Gear games on this thing. I played through Grand Theft Auto 3. I adore the PlayStation 2. It is one of the coolest consoles ever made, and it just hit everything it needed to hit. It hit everything it needed to hit at the time. I think the Dreamcast was trying to do too much for where technology was at the time, but Dreamcast was also dope, Mark. But man, PS2, very cool console.
Best-selling video game console of all time, selling a total of over 155 million consoles.
I don't know if anybody is going to be able to sell that again, because think about what it did. A lot of people just bought the PS2 to play their music CDs. A lot of people bought it just to play their DVDs. And we don't have that same media need like we used to. So how do you address multiple needs with one device the way the PlayStation 2 did? And then later they added the Ethernet port, they added hard drive. You could actually hack your PlayStation 2, so it was like a computer basically. And yeah, I still have my dev kit PS2 that I got back in the day, because when I was in college, one of my silly dream projects was to learn how to use Linux and make a game on the PlayStation 2 and just get it to run. But yeah, I don't know. I keep getting on these kicks to do that, and I never did. But I do wonder if the Switch will get there, because like the Switch 2 is going to come out, and I wonder if it ever hits that 155 million. We'll see.
We went into markets where video gaming had never really been a thing. So, Southern Europe, for example, Italy and Spain, and places like the Middle East, we established a gaming culture where none had existed.
The PS2 also functioned as an affordable home entertainment system, as it had a built-in DVD player. This helped.
This is just a great production shot, by the way, and it was shot a long time ago, so kudos to whoever the videographer was. Yeah, and somebody brought up a good point. The Switch might get there, and I think the Switch kind of did that, because you can have all the apps for whatever you need on the Switch and on the go, and it really captured the audience at a time when they were looking for something like that. You got to remember, Steam Deck wasn't out when the Switch came out. Nintendo really knocked it out of the park with the Nintendo Switch, and I think that's the... Not since the PS2 have I seen a console come along and just fulfill the consumer's needs as well as the Nintendo Switch did. And it did for a long time too.
Helped some buyers justify the purchase, as DVD sales reached $16.3 billion and accounted for more than half of the US home video market by 2005.
We put like The Matrix into a box with a PS2 that you don't like games, but you want to watch this movie. And it was... DVD was a real accelerant for the PlayStation 2 adoption.
But this momentum came to a
even he admits what I just said.
Halt when Sony released the PlayStation 3 in 2006.
The PlayStation 3 was a great console. The problem was they screwed up in nearly every possible way they could have screwed up. They crammed too many like little things that you could plug into it on the console. They tried to sell it for like the most expensive price they possibly could. They built it in a way where like backwards compatibility worked, but then forwards compatibility didn't. Granted, it ended up outselling the Xbox at the time, but they basically gave Xbox the 360 generation with the PlayStation 3. It was $100 more expensive. It often ran games worse than the 360 did. It was a mess. And that's coming from a fan of the PlayStation 3. Like, I still have my 60 gig PS3. It's probably going to die any day now, but yeah.
Our Icarus moment was when we launched the PlayStation 3. We created a huge hole in the bottom line that we need to fill over time. The machine was incredibly expensive.
I just remember anecdotally getting that sticker shock when you guys announced the price of the PlayStation 3. Oh my God, who's going to buy this? This is ridiculous. At the time, now today, that kind of annoying.
The guy's name is Steve Kovac. Every video I see with him in it, he is bringing up good points. He's asking tough questions. He is doing a great job. So I haven't seen a video where Steve Kovac has missed.
Normal console price, I guess. Can you just talk a little bit about the challenges in that generation that you guys went through?
Yeah, I think if I had to kind of encapsulate PlayStation 3 generation, I think I'd sort of say that maybe we got a bit carried away with the success that we'd been enjoying on PlayStation 2, and we kind of
I was looking to see if I had my PS3, but it's in storage right now. I took it out a few weeks ago.
Stumbled a little bit at the start of that generation, and the early days were difficult.
It was very, very powerful, but it was also very expensive, and it was frankly hard to develop for. We needed to work really hard with some amazing franchises.
You know what else is really hard to do? Grow a YouTube channel when people don't hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. So if you're liking my content, even my reaction content that I'm doing right now, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, and hit that like button if you like the video. PS3 was what it was. It ended up catching up.
The company slashed prices multiple times for the PS3, but still lagged behind Microsoft's Xbox 360 and Nintendo's Wii.
The company picked itself up, brushed itself off, came up with some of the most amazing games of the generation. Uncharted began on PS3. Killzone was on PS3. Resistance was on PS3.
Uncharted 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Metal Gear Solid 4, the parts where you actually play the game are really cool. But yeah.
And knew that we had to win out by not being a computer in your living room, but by being a game machine in your house.
The 2013 launch of the PlayStation 4 proved to be the hit Sony needed after the slump in sales from its predecessor. It launched at a lower price than the PS3, and Sony saw its fastest start in console sales up to this point.
The PlayStation 4... Oh, I forgot to put the video on. Let's rewatch it again. Sorry, everybody.
And knew that we had to win out by not being a computer in your living room, but by being a game machine in your house.
The 2013 launch of the PlayStation 4 proved to be the hit Sony needed after the slump in sales from its predecessor. It launched at a lower price than the PS3, and Sony saw its fastest start in console sales up to this point.
Also, all the marketing for the PlayStation 4 was on point. Say what you will about all the nonsense that was happening with Xbox at that time, PlayStation nailed it. How do you share your games? Here you go. How much does it cost? $100 less than our competitor. Like, how do the games look? They showed like Killzone at launch, and they had good looking games. Granted, some of them weren't the greatest. PlayStation 4 is another one of those consoles that like really hit all of the right notes that it needed to hit. And it's still to this day, can run a lot of PlayStation 5 games. You can play Ragnarok on your PS4, right? You can play the Horizon games on your PS4, right? They never really drew that line in the sand and said, no more PS4 games. You can bust out your base PS4 and still play a lot of the OG games on the console.
In the years that followed, Sony went on to sell double the amount of PS4 consoles compared to the Xbox One.
I played a fair bit of FIFA back then because power of the PlayStation 4 allowed sports games, and in particular soccer, that as a European I'm crazy about.
See, he seems nice when in interviews and stuff like that, but like his business policies are what I don't like. He's also doing that nervous tick of like playing with your hands. I used to do it when I started presenting and get called out for it all the time. Like, oh, I really like FIFA, and I would play, I would play FIFA. It's like it's something people notice subconsciously when you're discussing with them, but like I can't remember. It's a behavioral thing that people notice. And that's why I say, to me, he comes off nervous in these interviews. Every interview too, he kind of does this. I've never seen him come off like ruthless in an interview, but when you look at the policies, yeah. Hiroki Totoki, who's over there now, yeah, he's not messing around. I don't get any nervousness from him.
To become really realistic and really great gaming experience.
I think PlayStation's success is really rooted at the core of what they do best, which is content. And, in the industry, we always say content is king.
Content is king. And I think that's part of the criticism that Microsoft received for so long, because especially in, 2022, where they just had a year where it's like, where are your games? Like, they had good momentum, and then they lost it. And hopefully, like, I feel like this year is still going to be a great year for Xbox games and Xbox gamers, regardless of where you play. But it's going to be certainly interesting to see how they figure that out, because content is king. Let's get the content rolling out regular. Hopefully this is the year Microsoft finally figures that out.
And it's true.
And this segment is so hypocritical. This is the one that Gazon Daily roasted them for.
There's this trend where gamers they spend more time in fewer blockbuster games. So what that means for us as game makers is we're making these benchmark titles, and they're big bets, they're big budgets, and that comes with a lot of risk.
I would argue that gamers always did that. Gamers always played the game that they liked the most for the longest. And the problem was the market didn't have as many games coming out. I remember having to figure out like, oh, do I want to play Mass Effect or Rock Band right now? And I was playing like a lot of Rock Band, and Guitar Hero had like Guitar Hero 2 or something come out. And at that time there were choices, and then Crackdown was out around that time. And there was, of course, still Halo. I think there have always been a lot of choices, but absolutely, I played the heck out of Halo 2, Halo 3. Like, those were the games that I lived in. I think that's still true today for a lot of people. But here's a weird perspective that I have. You do feel like you have to keep up. And if you don't play at least a little bit of all these games, then you feel like you're not part of the conversation. There's a lot of FOMO going on right now. And I think a big part of that is because there are so many games coming out right now. So if you're still playing Spider-Man 2 and you haven't 100%ed it yet or whatever, then you start wondering if you're missing out on something. And I kind of miss that feeling of just being able to have your one game. Like mine was Destiny for years, right?
PlayStation content library is composed of first-party and third-party developed games, meaning it's a mix of games created in-house at PlayStation Studios and by outside developers.
The PlayStation depended on third-party developers and publishers to bring content in. We built a platform.
Did they?
We built some software, but the majority of the opportunity was spread against Electronic Arts, Activision, Ubisoft, Namco, Capcom. Sony was happy not to be the biggest publisher on the platform as long as they could increase it.
As long as we could have exclusives locked to our platform, we were fine. Like they did with Street Fighter and whatever, but exclusives are bad, and so is consolidation. Sean Layden gets roasted pretty bad online for this interview.
It wasn't about taking shares of the pie. It was about making the pie itself bigger. And I think that was a difference of approach that helped the company to be successful.
But
it was about making the pie bigger for them. It was about making the pie bigger for PlayStation, though. Like, oh my God. This is really about, we did it for you guys. You did it for profit. Like, come on.
Slice of that pie was taken off the table in 2023 when Microsoft completed its purchase of the video game giant Activision Blizzard.
Well, we were concerned about what the regulatory climate would be, but we never thought that there was any, real reason that was legitimate why these two companies couldn't combine.
The big controversy is obviously Activision is a big producer of games, and the concern was that with Microsoft acquiring them, they would own pretty much what is left of independent big studios. And
here's the thing. It's such an interesting conversation because if Microsoft didn't buy Activision, they would have fired a bunch of people. They bought Activision, and they fired a bunch of people at Activision, and they fired a bunch of people at Microsoft. Sony wasn't impacted by the acquisition, still fired 900 people. Embracer crumbled. Like, this isn't... I remember when the Microsoft layoffs happened, and I remember we're talking about the acquisition right now in the CNBC video, but like everyone's like, they were kind of like the first ones to go. And they were like, this is because of the Activision purchase. Sure, partially, but Microsoft, we all know that's not true. Like, why would they try and obfuscate that behind like growing pains? And now they've opened themselves up to like this problematic thing with the FTC, where the FTC is trying to, counter against the claim again and go back and reopen the case and all this stuff. I do think that the next case is going to end up in trial, given how Microsoft has handled the last few months. It's been absolutely ridiculous. So, going to be very interesting to see how Microsoft ends up handling it going forward from this point. But let me listen to what that lady was saying again.
Much what is left of independent big studios and not share the games over with PlayStation.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of independent studios left. You know why? Because PlayStation bought them all. PlayStation bought all the small independent studios. So it's like, oh man, there's not a whole lot of these studios left. Who should we buy? Well, we have a lot more money. Let's buy the really, really big ones. I actually have, oh man, I totally forgot I was going to make this video. I was going to make a video talking about what Microsoft needs to do Microsoft needs to regain the trust of their audience because they bought Bethesda and they said, this is about getting great exclusive content on the Xbox ecosystem. And then a lot of people took that to mean, oh, like you're actually going to pay attention and get some console exclusives locked in. And then they start putting those games out on other platforms. So there's a lack of trust with Phil right now. And that is going to be a very big wound for Microsoft that they are going to need to address. Like, whatever you think about everything that is unfolded, I do think that is going to be something Microsoft needs to address. And there's a few other things. My Monday video is going to be like, Microsoft needs to address these 5 things right now.
You had this interesting.
I agree, Kenny. Xbox wouldn't exist without Phil. It is important. Jim Ryan's about to get roasted. Let's enjoy.
Share the games over with PlayStation.
You had this interesting argument about Microsoft buying Activision and what that could mean for exclusives, what that could mean for cloud streaming. At the same time, Sony has done very similar things, buying studios to make them exclusive or making exclusive deals with companies like Square. In your view, why was the Activision deal wrong or bad for the industry?
Yeah, the reason that we felt this one was different to anything that had happened in the past was the sheer size and importance of the Call of Duty franchise. So we were absolutely thrilled to be able to negotiate a deal with Microsoft to ensure that that franchise remains available on PlayStation platform.
Oh, you mean the same deal they offered you the first day the thing was announced? Jim Ryan is so full of it. He's so full of it. And I am so glad this wasn't one of those softball nonsense interviews. When I had Phil Spencer at Gamescom, you bet I'm going to ask him the tough questions. I will always do that. It's so happy to hear that you're thrilled that you were able to sign the same agreement you were provided on the first day, Jim Ryan. Super happy for you. He deserves to get roasted for this part. And don't forget, he just finished closing the London studio, so don't feel bad for Jim Ryan. He goes, takes some photos with the employees, and they're like, oh my God, they fired everybody.
Platforms for the next 10 years. And that was very important to us. And we're very happy to have done that deal.
But the timeline is a little different though, right? Because why didn't you agree to the deal when it was first offered? And instead you were part of the with the FTC, a key witness for the FTC.
Yeah.
Got him. This was my key thing the whole time. Jim Ryan he handled the whole situation in such a bizarre way. They say he retired, man. I don't know. Hiroki Totoki is ruthless, and I do believe he is probably responsible for all of these firings, but he's not pretending to be everybody's BFF. He is like, we are here to do business. And if you are negatively impacting the business, or the business has been negatively impacted, we're firing a bunch of people. And like, I take no glee in that, but he's not doing whatever Jim Ryan was trying to do during this trial.
We're at risk of getting very granular here, but there are deals and deals. A deal that was offered at a certain point of time may not have been the deal that was actually signed.
Except we know it was. We know it was, Jim Ryan. You're full. We saw the deal because it was there at the trial, and it was the same deal you signed. So I don't know like what nuance there is in it. You wanted the deal to fail. You wanted Microsoft to lose this deal, and you failed in your mission. All right. Y'all know how I feel about Jim Ryan.
Activision acquisition was by far the most expensive in industry history and more than double Microsoft's second largest acquisition of its 2016 purchase of LinkedIn.
Man, just seeing Jim Ryan talk out both sides of his mouth. Oh, you want me here? Yes, you're hilarious. Jim Ryan's your dad. Enjoy your time out. There we go. I timed them out, chat. My bad. Clay, you're sleeping. Yeah, so like the problem is now we've all watched Jim Ryan talk out of both sides of his mouth for the last year or two, right? The problem is now Phil Spencer has done it and people are roasting him for it because he said during the Bethesda reveal that it's about getting exclusive games for Xbox. 1 year later, they're coming to PlayStation. So what was it really about? Money. The end. Oops.
I see the consolidation in the industry. I see people like Microsoft or Embracer or some groups out of Saudi Arabia buying up a bunch of studios. And I see consolidation to be the enemy of creativity.
You are single-handedly responsible for more acquisitions than anybody else was during the PlayStation era. Am I incorrect? Was it him or was it Jim Ryan? It was Sean Layden. Sean Layden was the mastermind behind buying Insomniac. Like, consolidation is happening. And like, saying this at a time when PlayStation just fired 900 people and Microsoft just fired 1,900, I don't think that's because of consolidation. That's because like the industry's in the toilet right now. Anyway, it's bizarre that the guy who acquired a bunch of companies is talking about how consolidation is bad. Maybe you shouldn't have consolidated so much.
If we've commoditized the product, you're just going to get more of the same.
But throughout its
more of the same, like Spider-Man, great game. Spider-Man Miles Morales, Spider-Man 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart. Like, more of the same isn't necessarily a bad thing. You know what I would have rather had instead of Suicide Squad? A fourth Batman game or a fifth Batman game from Rocksteady Studios. That's the problem. Like, I'm all for innovation, but I'm also great. Yeah, Nicole says translation, it's good when we do it, but not when Microsoft does it. And everybody conflates the size of the deal for Activision. Why are they buying the big companies? Because Sony bought all the little ones already. So like,
time in the gaming industry, Sony itself has also acquired more than a dozen game developers.
Oh, look at that. Looks like Sony's done a little bit of acquiring themselves too. Can I move this without breaking everything? Let's see who we got. We got Sucker Punch, Asobi, Valkyrie, Insomniac, Bluepoint, Firesprite, Gorilla, Housemarque, Media Molecule. Are they? And they're downsized. Naughty Dog, hugely successful. They had to fire people. Nixies, Polyphony, what? Neon Koi, Haven, Bend Studio, Firewalk. And wasn't for the Firewalk game. Something happened at Firewalk recently. Oh yeah, turns out it's not that fun to work there. Yeah. I really appreciate them getting called out because I don't like that PlayStation saying like consolidation's bad and all that. It's like, you bought how many companies here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, but they fostered those relationships. So it's okay, everybody. Sorry. You can't be like, well, when Microsoft does it, it bad. Company too big. When Sony do it, it good. No, if everybody doing it bad, everybody doing it bad. You don't get to like say it's bad when it's too much. Anyway, super chat from William here. Was it the same deal for COD? Saw reported original deal for all Activision Blizzard games. The deal signed was only for COD. I think Tassie or someone else reported it. So it was a worse deal is what you're saying. It's like Jim Ryan got a worse deal. Good job, Jim.
Development studios, and many of these studios have gone on to produce some of its biggest hits. Insomniac Games was behind the PlayStation 5.
Oh, where's Deviation? Oh yeah, they're closed.
Have gone on to produce some of its biggest hits. Insomniac Games was behind the PlayStation 5's record-breaking success.
I say that because, like, I don't say that as a joke. I say that because they closed like the London studio, and they're the reason that Deviation closed. Good. Yeah, they're not owned, but their game getting canceled probably had a lot to do with the reason they had to close.
Success with Spider-Man 2 in 2023. And now, the way these games are being played is also evolving.
It is, yeah. This has been like people call it stunlocked online. This is the whole topic that I've been stunlocked with. It's just like the entire industry is evolving how people are going to consume content. We have, and the big concern online right now is like the next console generation is the last console generation, and then we'll go from there. I don't think consoles go anywhere. People have been talking about the death of consoles since 2007, like whatever.
Over the past decade, Sony's game revenue has shifted overwhelmingly.
Holy crap. Why is physical media dying? Here's a handy chart to look at. 19% of your sales are disc sales. 81% of your sales are digital. And you know why they like digital more? Because they can just delete your games from your library. That was a story that I missed this week where users were just losing their content. Oh, we have a licensing issue now, so your game's gone. But more importantly, they can control the used market because it doesn't exist anymore. There will be no used market. They want that profit from the used market, and they don't get it, and it eats away at them. So what they do, they deleted it. It's not going to exist anymore. You don't get to do. You get a digital code. You can't do anything with that.
From physical discs to digital downloads. Both Xbox and PlayStation began introducing entirely disc-free consoles with the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation 5 in 2020.
I really like digital downloads. My concern is with the news this week about content just getting deleted off of people's units is the responsibility is not being put on these manufacturers that are allowing you to buy digital goods. If I buy a digital good, it better stay locked on that console forever. The fact that they are able to take a game off of their service, and if you don't have it downloaded locally, you just lose access to it. Give me my $60 back. Give me my money back. If you take away my ability to get a game I purchased, I want a full refund. No. Sorry, Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection. Like in Japan, they're removing the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection for some reason. I don't know why. There was a concern that was going to happen in the US. Okay, I want a full refund. I bought a product. I'm entitled to have that saved on my platform of choice. Yes, Brian in chat says the government is going to have to step in, and they should. They should. It's gotten out of hand. You should not be able to do it. Give me my money back. You take my game away, give me my money back.
Both companies are also improving their ability for users to stream games directly from the cloud. Both Sony and Microsoft utilize in-house servers for streaming games.
For Microsoft, the advantage of doing that is that they own Azure, and in that respect, obviously their costs.
Maybe somebody in chat knows better than I do. Doesn't Microsoft also own the streaming technology that Sony's been utilizing, or like the cloud servers or something like that? It's not Azure, but like, or do they use the Amazon infrastructure? I don't know enough about the technology behind cloud gaming. I gotta.
They own Azure, and in that respect, obviously their cost to deliver that experience is going to be lower.
Microsoft controls 60 to 70% of the overall cloud gaming market. PlayStation Plus has about 8 million subscribers to its premium tier that allows users to stream from the cloud. That's about 17% of its users that pay for its subscription gaming service. However, right now, cloud gaming accounts for a small part of the overall gaming market.
If cloud gaming catches on, I might not have to admit I was wrong about Xbox and PlayStation evening out. But if I had to do it today, chat, I got some bad news. I might have been wrong about my silly hand graph. I don't know if this console generation is going to even out. So, yeah. Might just have to take the L on that one. What do you think, chat? Do you think my silly hand graph is going to be correct, or am I eating a big fat L on that one? Probably a big fat L, I would guess.
Cloud-enabled gaming generated just over $5 billion in revenue in 2022, which pales in comparison to the $35 billion in console game sales.
I've lost count of the number of times over very many years that people have said the era of the console is over. Cloud will emerge, and it will over time become a significant component of the way that people enjoy interactive entertainment.
He's right. I mean, Jim Ryan's right. Like, say what you will about Jim Ryan, but he's absolutely on the money about cloud gaming. Everybody criticizes mobile still, and mobile is like one of the biggest growth sectors in the market. Like the fact that Call of Duty Warzone has the Verdansk map on mobile, and it, like, you plug in a controller, you're basically playing, I don't know, 360, maybe Xbox One level graphics on your phone. It's insane. And like anybody who writes off mobile, I just think, I don't know why that still happens, because if you're paying attention, you see just how powerful and how fast the technology of your cell phone has caught up. And pretty soon, you know what you're going to be able to do? You're going to be able to just put this next to your TV and then play on your TV. Like, that's sort of the dream, right? Like right now I have a dongle. I can pair a controller, plug this into my TV. So here's what I need when I go on a trip. I need my phone, I need a controller, and I need an HDMI out for my phone. And then I can play a bunch of really good games. I can play Death Stranding off of my phone. I can play Call of Duty off of my phone. I can play, what's that other big, it's like a gacha game. Anyway, you can play all the gacha games off of your phone, and they run really, really well. Bashiwashi is an Android user. He says, I can do that with Samsung already. And yeah, you can play xCloud. Like, I think mobile is going to go big, and I do think cloud streaming is going to be big. But Jim Ryan, got to give Jim Ryan this one. I do agree with him. I think cloud will be bigger, but it's going to take 5-10 years to get there for that one. I think mobile's the next big play, then cloud.
But it's not there yet.
Especially considering that the telecommunications infrastructure needed for smooth gameplay is just not strong enough in much of the world, including certain parts of the US.
And even there's been legislation about the definition of, I think it's broadband or whatever, like you have to hit a certain minimum threshold to be considered that. I can't remember what the terminology used was, but yeah, Genshin was the game I was talking about. Diablo Immortal, like say what you will about Diablo Immortal, but it's Diablo on your phone and it looks really good and it's fun. So yeah.
The fact that there is a rural broadband initiative in the federal government indicates that rural broadband needs work.
This inequality in internet connectivity can also lead to delays in digital downloads, indicating the modern relevance of physical discs for both PlayStation and Xbox.
And oftentimes when people talk about things like console wars and exclusivity and that kind of thing, they really compare PlayStation and Xbox more directly. Nintendo doesn't get talked about in the same breath as often. I feel like people kind of just...
They're in their own world. Like, who are the competitors left? It's Microsoft, Xbox, and it's PlayStation. And that's it in terms of who's competing in this space. Nintendo's like doing whatever they're doing. And they're always going to do that.
Just let Nintendo be its own thing.
Yet Nintendo Switch is the second best-selling video game console of all time, behind the PS2.
I think that maybe the mobility aspect of it, and because it's a handheld, people think about it differently, almost more competing against a phone than not a console. But it is a console.
She's right. And during the FTC trial, the FTC tried to argue that Nintendo doesn't really count. And they're wrong. Gaming isn't about just the console. It's like bigger than that. It's the cloud, which was considered during the trial. It is what Nintendo's doing with the handheld market. It's the Steam Deck. Like, all of it is the games industry. All of it is part of the industry and the market.
Think about what PlayStation has done now with a handheld that you can pair with your PS5 and be able to, move around the home. It kind of shows that they see Nintendo as a competitor.
Shortly before Christmas, we launched PlayStation Portal, which is a device that allows people to use our remote play functionality to enjoy PS5 gaming experiences in a handheld environment.
In more recent years, there has also been an increase in leveraging the iconic PlayStation content outside the gaming space.
I'm really pleased about the early...
I've loved the PlayStation movies. Did anybody see Gran Turismo? I really like the Gran Turismo movie, and I like the Gran Turismo game. I think the way that PlayStation has been handling that, has been really, really good. By the way, this Reacts is going to be like an hour long, but it's a good video.
Successes of PlayStation Productions working with Sony Pictures. We've taken some of our best IP and converted that to movies, with Uncharted, to the TV format with The Last of Us.
I think what really impressed him was the fact that I didn't turn into a monster.
I like The Last of Us HBO show. I like Gran Turismo. Uncharted could have been stronger. I couldn't finish it. Like, I started it out and it just didn't hook me right away. There was like the bar scene or whatever, and then I kind of bounced after that one. But I hope the sequel's better.
And Sony plans to keep increasing the intellectual property within its systems. By 2025, the company says it expects to be putting 50% of its investment into new IP.
Yeah, we got God of War.
That compares to just 20% back in 2019.
It's an important piece to kind of cement that idea that games are part of pop culture now, and we reach broader audiences every time. Quality in the adaptations is just as important as the quality of the games that we make.
But
yeah, you know, I do think it is really important. Like, if you look at what Microsoft has done with the Halo series, the first season was just so off base. Why do they keep doing that? Like, here comes the Last of Us HBO series, and like, yeah, they take some liberties with some of the characters, but none of it like messed up the core storytelling of that product, right? They have the Destiny movie incoming, they have the God of War movie incoming, and it's just really, what is my wife doing? Anyway, they have all of these great, she's blowing up a mattress or something, I don't know. They have all of these great things.
The gaming industry is facing some headwinds. Thousands of jobs were cut in the gaming industry in 2024.
Yeah.
And last month, Sony laid off 900 workers from its PlayStation division, or 8% of the unit's global workforce. Herman Hulst put out a statement that day saying, "We are at a stage where we need to step back and look at what our business needs. At the same time, our industry has experienced continuing and fundamental change, which affects how we all create and play games."
Yeah, here's the thing. The lady said it at the top of this interview. Content is king. If you make great games, you're going to make the money you need. The problematic nature is so many of these businesses seem to have somehow lost sight of that. And I'm just flabbergasted at how Last Epoch can come along and just trounce Diablo. Acid Angel says, Destin, by the way, you praising yourself for being a news show and first, but G4 had a television show. Okay, what was their video game news show? What was the G4 video game dedicated news show that they had? Did they have one? Was it half an hour long? Did it tell jokes? G Money also had nice props. Oh yeah, George. Yeah, they were like, G4 wasn't built on a great foundation at the time. There was XPlay. XPlay did reviews. That was their main thing. I don't think they had a video game news show, did they, on G4? My inspiration for doing the Daily DL back in the day was Jon Stewart. But anyway, that was from like a million years ago at the beginning of the stream. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, let's get back to the documentary. I'm gonna have to edit that out. Thank you, random person. You're wrong. I'm pretty sure I did the first news show. The first like thing where I would collect I would try and do 3 news stories and then do an outro. It picked up steam as hard news. Nobody did these bespoke news things. And even today, there's only a handful of people doing it. I think we name some of the big ones. You know who does it really good? Who actually inspired me for like the modern take on my news style? Geez, I'm blanking on his name now. Yang Ye. I think Yang Ye is Yang Ye and what was his name? Skill. Screensavers was PC though. The name is Screensavers, which is a PC nod, Kenny. But I hear you. Andreas, I'll just say about that piece. I watched Mudahar's take on it, and Mudahar's take is like they should have fleshed it out more. Really, like that's the main point of feedback. So, I'm kind of with Mudahar on it. I feel like there's something there, and that game has a lot of problems. But I think the argument should have been fleshed out in much more detail. Anyway, let's finish this up.
I would say that it's really important never to forget that we are in the entertainment business. And that's what we do. That's our strength. I think that's why we've enjoyed some considerable success over the last 30 years. Never losing sight of that as a cornerstone.
This video has been making the rounds. It's from CNBC. Of all people, like online. Yeah, it's at 284K. It's one of the best encapsulations of everything that has happened so far. That was the last thing that I was going to talk about today. It's 1 o'clock. Did I miss anything that we want to talk about this week? What was that story that I talked about during my analysis of this piece? How PlayStation games getting deleted on the console? So are they removing? No, it was like new. What was the story that I saw this week? Does anybody know what I'm blah, 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 quoted Jim Ryan, yeah. Angry Joe. A lot of people say Skill Up. Does Skill Up do news every day? Let's see. I don't think he does. I think he does his one, yeah, this week in video games. It's a 31-minute broadcast. I mean, I don't want to give you all ideas, but it's like 4 people out there doing video game news that I know of who do it at a high level. Spawnwave is one. He's phenomenal. And I subscribe to him. You should subscribe to Spawnwave. Yang Ye is another. Phenomenal. But like, who else does it? Oh no, it's Alex? like bespoke one news story type stories. And yeah, so that was the realization I came to. I'm just like, there's not a lot of people doing this stuff. If somebody knows Spawnwave, I would love to get him on the channel and do one of my little interviews with him. I also subscribe to Legacy because he did news. Yeah, there's a few out there, but Yang Ye does the big stories. But I think his format's the best, in my opinion. Bellular is another good one that popped up. So yeah, Yang Ye, Bellular, Legacy, Spawnwave. But back in the day, it was hard news. It was the Daily Fix. GameSpot used to do it. IGN used to do it. Like everybody had their news product. And I just feel like, news doesn't seem to be that profitable. I don't know. Let's DM him right now, chat. Hey, Spawnwave, I do a little talk show thing. Thank you, chat. Spawnwave. Kind of fun. Again, I'm talking about like short videos about one topic. Kind of Funny Games Daily is like a 2-hour broadcast or longer. Yes, they cover off on the topics and they cover the news, but everybody does it in long form. I come back to this, and for some reason it has to be because he is usually not wrong, but the Xbox tax blinders have been egregious and off-putting. Yeah, I'm going to knock it off. I hear you. You know, sometimes I say stuff and I'm not right. Like, do you want me to come on here and like just never have an opinion about anything, never risk being wrong, never risk being controversial with the Xbox tax stuff? Or do you just want me to be as honest as I can be about what I think about the topics? I watched a 40-minute video the other day about me. Some of you might know what I'm talking about, where he played a 30-second clip of something I said and then went for 40 minutes about it. I was like, really? All right. But yeah, Brad Sims is all right. There's like 5 or 6 out there. I don't know, man. Yeah. I might just wrap it up here today because I want to go play with the kids and stuff. I don't get a ton of time with the kiddos, but I'm not seeing anybody flag any like big news stuff that I need to cover. Is there a news video or anything that you want me to react to? I have time for one more news story or one more reacts video. We can do either or. I see myself as just a gamer. I have preferences in terms of like what the Xbox ecosystem is doing because it's so pro-consumer, in my opinion. And yeah. When is Path of Exile play with DM? It's Monday. He said it, whatever he said. Let me check the article so I don't get fired. Let me see here. I don't know. Just whatever Darth Microtransaction said. I sent him a DM. I'm like I watch a lot of Darth Microtransaction. Like, who's on my Twitch? Who do I watch on Twitch? I watch Asmongold. Don't tell anybody that, okay? They're gonna be pissed if they know I watch Asmon. If I watch his content. Who do I follow? Halo. Somebody's reacting to As the Cross. Lots of Destiny content creators. I watch the Mudahar videos. I watch Asmongold. I watch who else? Darth Microtransactions. Nobody's online right now because it's Sunday. Oh, I'm being recommended Angry Joe Show. I actually don't sub to Angry Joe Show. Anyway, yeah, those are some of the channels I've mostly. It's just kind of like, are you playing a game that I'm into? Okay, I'm going to subscribe to you. The whole reason I stumbled on Asmongold is because he reacted to the Baldur's Gate thing. And then I had no idea who he was, or I didn't know about him until I saw that. I didn't know about Super GT is great. If you like racing game stuff, Super GT is also great. Yeah, I still watch Colin once in a while. He pops up in my feed, and yeah, I don't really block anybody because I want to hear what everybody thinks. I don't want to just hear like what some people think, and then I can come to my own conclusion about it. So I don't know. That's just how I've always been. Like you have to hear all perspectives, and then you're going to come to your own conclusions about how you feel about a particular topic. Right. And sometimes you got to work through that. Anyway, yeah, I follow a bunch of channels. React to Dreamcast Guy. Dreamcast Guy's been going through some stuff, man. I think you should try not to be too hard on him. I get it. Like, he's putting his content out there, so like you can counteract his points or whatever, but Dreamcast Guy has been very nice to me. A lot of people I think I disagree with a lot of what MBG says, for example, but I don't think we should like hate on him or anything like that. DM is Darth Microtransactions, Luke. He is a streamer that covers ARPGs basically. And he's great. Yeah, he's really good. He is like the most brand safe person I've ever seen in my life. He's some guy that lives in Alaska with his cat. He has 2 pianos. He plays at a super high level. He's very chill. He's not like the big controversy reactionary type guy. But yeah, Mystic is another good one. I don't think enough people mentioned Mystic, but he's good. Correct, Nicole. I'll send this. I'm going to send the email to Spawn Wave after this, but I'm going to do the little outro here real quick. So I'm going to turn off chat and then I'll say goodbye for real. So I'm going to record an outro for the end of the videos that I'm going to clip out today for the week. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you like my content, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. I do greatly appreciate you. Hey, you know what helps channels like this grow? Members. Thank you so much to members who support this channel. If you want to support content like what you've seen today, you can do so by clicking that join button. It is right down there, and you are not going to want to miss this video that I made because it is pertinent to whatever I happen to be discussing right now. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now, everybody. I told y'all I wasn't leaving for real. So this is goodbye to the live audience. I always do the outro for the VODs. I got to figure out, I should have just did the outro. But anyway, now I can clip out that outro and that'll be the outro for the video. And then it has like a natural conclusion. Yeah, really I appreciate the stream today, y'all. Yeah, it was a rocky week and I do appreciate hanging out. This is a lot of fun. The streams are always great. I think the interview videos I always do kind of like knock me out of like any sort of funk that I'm in. And I appreciate y'all hanging out on Twitch or wherever you watch. IGN, obviously I'm going to have some content coming out next week. I just did some COD Mobile stuff. COD Mobile is pretty impressive if you want to check out my IGN work. So the main things I did were I did the COD Mobile gameplay. Wait, did my preview also come out? So I got 19 minutes of Call of Duty Warzone on mobile. I got the paracontroller and play it. So if you want to check that out, you can. I also did a settings breakdown about that game and what you can expect. I'm hyped for X-Men 97. That is coming out. I did my Dragon's Dogma preview and I did Rise of Ronin preview. But I think Dragon's Dogma was 2 weeks ago and Ronin was this week. I don't know, man. And then I have another preview coming after that, where I'll be talking about video games. Yeah, so Rise of the Ronin was 5 days ago. I am freaking stoked for Rise of the Ronin. It was lots of fun. But am I going to play Rise of the Ronin or Dragon's Dogma 2? I'm going to play Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah. All right. That's my wife texting me. She's saying, all right, honey, time's up. I appreciate y'all. I just want to say goodbye one more time. I'll catch you for the next one. Okay, she's texting me twice. Maybe she's like, no, I'm not saying sign off. Oh, dang. My son fell asleep. He's a little sick. I'm going to go. I'll see y'all for the next one. Bye for now, everybody.